Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the regular board meeting of the Urban Redevelopment Authority, our September 2025 meeting. We move on. For those that need ASL interpretation, please note the names on the screen and make sure to pin them to your Zoom. Let the record reflect that all board members are present and accounted for, with Representative Powell joining us virtually and the remainder of us here at 412 Boulevard of the Allies. Our first order of business is approval of our July 10th, 2025 URA regular board meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? We've approved our minutes. Also, please note for the public that the URA board met in our regular executive session today, September 11th, immediately before the board meeting. Moving now over to public comment, and I will turn it over to Catherine Murray.
Good afternoon. My name is Catherine Murray. I'm the Director of Government Affairs and Strategic Relations at the URA. Members of the public have the opportunity to provide public comment on URA Board of Directors agenda items in person, virtually on Zoom, or in writing. Registration is required to receive 3 minutes of in-person or virtual comments during our public meetings. Registration opens at 2 p.m. Tuesday of the board meeting week and closes at 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Written comments submitted before 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting and comments provided during this meeting will become part of the public minutes and meeting record. We received 6 written comments this month. 5 of them are on the Lexington Tech RFQ and 1 is on the Esplanade project. Board members have received all of the written comments in their board packets. We have no one registered in person to deliver public comment today. This concludes our public comment period.
Thank you, Director Murray. Moving into announcements, we have a number of them today. Our first is given today is September 11th. It's 24 years since the tragic events of 9/11. We did want to take a moment of silence to, observe the lives that were lost. Thank you. Our next announcement is to remember a true community champion in Pittsburgh, Dave Bruton. I believe I'll first turn it over to Richard Snipe.
Good afternoon. I'm Richard Snipe, the Executive Director of the URA's Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation. Today, we're here to remember and also to honor the work of David Bruton. Dave was a founding member of the URA's PUI Advisory Board, and he served faithfully in that position for 15 years. In addition to that, Dave was also the Vice President of the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation, and he served with us for close to 20 years. In fact, Dave served up until the time he died. We was maybe 2 months out, and we had no clue that Dave was actually that sick. But it showed the dedication that Dave had. He was a man of action. For those of you who knew him, he dedicated his life to serving others. I had the privilege of meeting Dave at the beginning of his career about 41 years ago. As I was moving out of Robinson Street in West Oakland, Dave and Barb were actually moving into the community. And at that time, if you know West Oakland, is surrounded by public housing, a lot of poverty. And I asked myself at that time, I said, why would a young white guy move into a neighborhood full of poverty? Well, I quickly found out why he moved in. Dave, as I mentioned, he was a man of action. He, along with several of his friends, had made the conscious decision to move into the inner city. They joined the local church and mentally got to work. And their work centered around being able to turn a blighted neighborhood into an inviting neighborhood where people can live. Dave quickly got on board. He was working with breach mentors and others, and we saw blight disappear and housing opportunities begin. Dave did that work up until the time that he died. He was committed to doing it. Not only did Dave and Barb stay there, the friends that came with him, well, they eventually left. Dave went a step further. Dave bought another house in the community, and Dave moved around the corner, and Dave stayed there until he died. Now, that's commitment. You know, I asked myself, could I make that kind of commitment? And I'm not going to give you the answer, but I'll say this. Dave set one heck of an example. For those of you who may have known Dave, he came from a family where Dave had some privilege. He didn't have to live in the inner city. He lived there because he wanted to be there. All the way until the time that Dave died, Dave gave back. And I'll share this point with you also to show you how committed he was to the community and the work that he did. Even when Dave died, he gave back to the community. The funeral director that handled the service happened to be Samuel Jones Funeral Home, which is an African-American-owned funeral home. So this was a man who was committed from the time he got there until the time he died. It was about serving others, making their lives better, improving their lives, and helping them to be able to be the best that they could be. His career centered around making quality, affordable housing available for all people. And he was a champion for that work at the PHDC, as well as the work that he did in other communities. And that work will last for a lifetime. We have the opportunity not only to remember Dave and honor his work, but we also have the opportunity to remember the impact that it's had on our city, and also take the opportunity to see if we can be an example like Dave, make a change in our city for the better for others. Thank you for listening to me this afternoon.
Thank you, Rich. I don't know if there's any other comments from board members. Rich, you said it eloquently. I know, like so many others, I'm just thankful to have had an opportunity to work with Dave, to learn from Dave, and fortunate that he was so generous with his time to pour into so many of us who continue to work, and hope we honor his legacy, Rich, as you said, and the way in which we continue forward. So thank you. Our next announcement is the Quarter 2 2025 Quarterly Impact Report, and John Bonello is joining us for this.
Good afternoon. My name is John Bonello. I'm a Senior Data and Evaluation Specialist in the Strategic Data and Impact Unit, and I'm back with another Quarterly Impact Report for the second quarter of 2025. As you may know, SD&I spends the first 6 weeks of each quarter collecting and analyzing the outputs from the previous quarter to report our progress towards our strategic goals. Now on your screen are some highlights from the Quarter 2 2025 Impact Report. 24 businesses connected to technical assistance through URA and its partners. 493 individuals were able to stay in their homes through housing-related legal assistance provided by the Housing Opportunity Fund. 21 individuals were assisted in achieving home ownership through the HOF Down Payment and Closing Cost Assistance Program. 33 units of affordable housing were created or preserved with assistance through our residential and consumer lending programs. 13 small business loans were closed between the URA and its affiliates worth over $1.7 million, and roughly $215,000 were dispersed to businesses maintaining vacant lots and to support neighborhood projects. The full report is now live on the impact page of the website and shows more of the great work that was done by the URA in our second quarter. We encourage anyone who's interested in taking a closer look at some of these metrics to go to the impact section of the website listed under the About Us heading. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Any questions, comments from board members for John? Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next announcement is the commercial lending quarterly closing snapshots. And Rochelle
Oh, I was
Lillian joining us here. Once she adjusts the
That.
microphone.
You hear me?
Can.
Good afternoon. My name is Rochelle Lillian. I'm the manager of business and commercial lending. And I'm here today to present the Q2 2025 commercial loan closings for URA and our partner Invest PGH. Our commercial loan programs range from $5,000 up to $500,000 to businesses in the city of Pittsburgh limits. We want to let everyone know that our loan programs are open and there's no need to get caught up in all the names and acronyms. We're our loan analysts are here to help with getting all of our prospective borrowers into the best option for their needs. This quarter, we're excited to highlight a few closings that demonstrate the diversity and impact of our lending efforts. First, Los Sabrosos Dance Company is a Hispanic and American woman-owned business. First location was 4909 Penn Avenue in Garfield, and the new project involved the acquisition of 5129 Penn Avenue in Garfield to expand her operations. She plans to offer additional classes for adults and children and summer camps. The additional space will also be used for summer classes, private events, and celebrations, as well as event rentals. Invest PGH loan was for $180,000 for the acquisition. The URA loan, $62,000 for hiring and renovations. Next is Oakland Property Company. This is a minority-owned business led by experienced owner and developer Curtis Aiken. It's a real estate holding company that was set up to acquire and renovate a mixed-use property at 412 First Avenue, right behind us. It's a four-story building, which includes a commercial space on the first 2 floors and 2 residential units on the upper floors. URA loan was $475,000, and the Invest PGH loan was $200,000, and both loans went to assist in the acquisition and related costs. And the next slide, the Giving Heart is a woman and minority-owned business located in Arlington. It's a daycare for low-income families, offering community workshops, education, programming, summer camps, and more. Our Invest PGH crib loan was for $25,000, and the funding supported payroll, staff education, technology upgrades, and learning supplies. So we wanted to highlight those businesses. And I have to throw in, yesterday we had a neighborhood outreach, call it URA in your neighborhood. We walked through Brookline, Beachview, and the South Side, along with various officials and community groups. Some of us went door to door. Others just met with the community groups, and well, I guess we really all went door to door in some capacity. And we were just spreading the word about URA and Invest PGH and also other resources and programs. And all told, we reached out to 140 businesses. So that was great. And October 1st, we are headed to Northside and the West End for the same type of event. So feel free, if you have any questions, reach out to business@ura.org. We're a friendly team and we're always happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle. Any questions, comments from board members? Great. Thanks, Rochelle. Our next announcement is regarding the legal assistance program, homeowners RFP. Here comes Brianna.
Good afternoon, URA board members. I am Brianna Benjamin, Hoff Senior Program Coordinator in our Residential and Consumer Lending Department. I am here to announce that we will be releasing a request for proposals to solicit program administrators for our legal assistance program for homeowners, which provide a one-time legal service to clients who are at risk of losing their homes. There will be up to $200,000 allocated for program administrators to provide the following services: tangled title, foreclosure prevention, and estate planning. Eligible recipients must be the homeowners or the occupant of a home in which they claim legal interest, and the home must be their sole residence. To be eligible, the applicant must have a gross household income at or below 80% of Pittsburgh area median income and reside within the city of Pittsburgh. The RFP is anticipated to be issued on Monday, September 15th via our website, and respondents will have until Monday, September 29th at 4 p.m. to respond to allow us time to review and receive approval from both the HOB and URA boards during their October meetings.
Thanks, Brianna. Any questions, comments from board members? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next announcements are regarding the opening of a couple state funding rounds. I will turn it over to our Chief Financial Officer, DeMar Carter.
Thanks, Chairman. I'm DeMar Carter, CFO at the URA of Pittsburgh. I would like to share two announcements related to the opening of state funding rounds that the URA acts as a guarantee or project sponsor for eligible projects located in the city of Pittsburgh. The first is the Redevelopment Assisted Capital Program, also known as RCAP, provides funding for the design, acquisition, or construction of regional, economical, cultural, civic, recreational, and historical improvement projects. The URA acts as the guarantee for RCAP awards to projects within the city of Pittsburgh. A funding round opened on Friday, August 29th, 2025 at 12 p.m. and will close Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eligible projects can apply directly and indicate the URA as a guarantee. If you have any questions regarding the RCAP process or application, please contact Marcus Robinson. The second is the Local Share Account Statewide Program, also known as LSA. This fund is provided for projects that improve the quality of life in the community. Eligible projects must be owned and maintained by an eligible applicant or a Pennsylvania nonprofit entity, but only government entities and economic development agencies are eligible to apply directly for the program. The URA acts as an eligible applicant on behalf of projects owned and maintained by a nonprofit organization. If you have an eligible project within the city of Pittsburgh that requires this by the URA, please apply through the ACED application portal between September 15th, 2025 and November 7th, 2025. Once again, if you have any questions regarding LSA, please contact Marcus Robertson.
Thank you, DeMar. I appreciate that announcement. Just a quick clarification, the URA served as the grantee for the RCAP program. Thank you.
Thank you both. Appreciate the staff jumping on that. I know the state opened those rounds kind of last minute, so it's not an easy task for the team to turn around so quickly. Before we move on to our regular agenda for action, I'm going to turn it back over for public comment to our managing counsel, Kate Dearson.
Thank you. Kate Dearson, Managing Counsel here this afternoon. We just want to ensure that those who have maybe came in person to make a public comment have that opportunity. We do typically request that anybody who wants to make public comment register to do so, but don't want to have anybody miss that opportunity if they are here for that purpose. If anybody would like to make public comment, we would invite them up at this time. We would also note that we have a 3-minute time limit for any public comment, and we'll run a timer while you're giving your comment. Come on up. Thank you. You could just state your name for the record.
Hello, and thank you for listening to me. My name is Ron Klink. Introducing myself, I'm a former United States Congressman here in Western Pennsylvania, also formerly a broadcaster for 24 years. Most recently, I was a news anchor and reporter at KDKA. In that respect, we have been working for many decades on putting a National Museum of Broadcasting here in Pittsburgh. Myself, Bill Hillgrove, Susie Barber, Harold Hayes, a lot of former broadcasters and current broadcasters are working on this. We were going to put this a project in East Pittsburgh, near where the Westinghouse Corporation had been, in an old bank building, but that building had been vacated almost 50 years ago. And as we took architects into the building, there were too many surprises. We weren't going to be able to do it. Since that time, we've been working with Mr. Jason Lardo, who's here today, at Rockwell Park, which is adjacent to one of the properties that you're going to consider today. We have a building, which is the Frank Conrad Garage. That garage is where the very first radio station licensed in the world was started. For those of you who don't know, that station was KDKA. On December 2nd of 1920, they did the first commercial broadcast of the Harding-Cox presidential election results. We were working with Duquesne University in 2020 during COVID. We redid the broadcast and we honored that. Why is this site so important to us? It is important because we can rebuild that Conrad Garage only a few blocks from where it was on Penn Avenue, right by the Wendy's. We can build it where Mr. Lardo has commemorated in his affordable commercial development, Rockwell Corporation that built much of the space shuttle, Mine Safety Appliance, and many of the other corporations that built up and industrialized Pittsburgh. And it's only 2 blocks away from Westinghouse Park, which was the home of George Westinghouse. Without him, we wouldn't have alternating current today. We wouldn't have so many of the things. He was the first person to deliver natural gas. He was, with Nikola Tesla, the person who invented radio. And if it wasn't for radio, we wouldn't have many of the technologies that we enjoy today. And that corridor, the Penn Avenue corridor, is they're going to develop that, those who have a forward vision, the AI corridor. AI would not exist without the work that Frank Conrad, Nikola Tesla, and others had done here in Pittsburgh. We don't want to see this go away. We had the opportunity here in Western Pennsylvania to have the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't know how many people know, but Latrobe, Pennsylvania had the first pro football team. The powers that be didn't accept that. It went to Canton, Ohio. Now we wish we would have acted in the right way. We also had a chance to get the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That went to Cleveland.
Excuse me,
we don't
Mr.
wanna-
Klink, your 3 minutes is
I
up.
understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. We don't want to see this opportunity go away, and that's why I'm here today. I ask that you delay giving exclusivity to Trek. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Oh.
Hi, hello, board. Good afternoon, everyone. Jason Lardo from Rockwell Park Development. I just wanted to speak a little bit about what we've done at Rockwell Park in the last 11 years. So we started assembling buildings in 2014 to create Rockwell Park. We actually acquired one of the buildings in 2020 from the URA. And one of our commitments was to reconnect the streets and the roads through that district that were never reconnected, and also keep it very affordable for entrepreneurs, nonprofits, startups. Many of you have visited the site and you can attest to what we've done there. We've done above and beyond everything we promised the URA. And we really want to kind of finish this off, the development with potentially, absolutely, the museum that has a commitment. And also we need to, in our opinion, we really need to take the time to follow with the neighborhood. I've met with many of the folks in the neighborhood. They felt like they didn't get enough of an opportunity. A lot of people were unaware of that. A lot of them are adjacent landowners. Also, this property, we're the largest adjacent landowner. The property currently isn't zoned. It's zoned for single-family detached housing. So I think all I'm recommending, and I really would hope the board will consider it. I'm not saying that we're opposed to affordable housing. The proposal that we put forward actually had that included. I just think that we need to really look at this more organically, being a developer in this neighborhood and very deeply involved in this neighborhood for the last 11 years. So we just like to take the time before any further commitments are made to just meet in a very near-term basis and just kind of try to hammer out something that works for the neighborhood, for the museum, of course, and to continue the careful, a lot of these folks have seen this, how carefully we've redeveloped this innovation district and small business affordable workspace. I think that's something we need to talk about more, is affordable workspace. And really, we're probably one of the only places that offer that in the city. I know that for a fact. And again, it's 800,000 square feet, and we've fulfilled all of our commitments with the URA, and we're just asking for the time to make sure that we get this right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Any additional public comment? Not seeing any. We will again close the public comment period. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, your three minutes is up, Jason. Yeah. Yeah.
If you have information here for the board, a lot of folks might not have seen this package. So I think that helped a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Going back to the agenda, our first few items, we have items today in development services, housing, and then our normal consent agenda and disclosures agenda. In development services, we have 3 items today, the first of which is in Point Breeze North, the Lexington Technology Park, and Maya Fuse is joining us for this.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maya Fuse, and I'm a project manager in the URA's Development Services Department. Today, I am requesting authorization to enter into exclusive negotiations with Trek Development Group, Inc., or a related entity for the sale of parcel 175A 111 in the 14th Ward for a period of 6 months. Next slide, please. On February 24th, the URA issued a request for qualifications for the 4.5 acre site. The goal of the RFQ was to select a potential developer for the site in alignment with the community desire for transit-oriented development with an emphasis on mixed-income housing. Trek was one of the 5 respondents to the RFQ, and after a series of interviews with the RFQ review committee, a presentation to the community via virtual community meeting, and internal deliberation, the determination was made to recommend Trek to enter into exclusive negotiations. Next slide. In their initial response to the RFQ, Trek presented 3 potential development plans for the site. Potential plans include 65 to 97 residential units that are a mix of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom apartments. Trek plans to use the exclusive negotiations period to finalize one development plan for a redevelopment proposal and to prepare a competitive application for a low-income housing tax credit award. Today, I am joined virtually with the Trek team, and we're available to answer any questions that this board may have.
Thank you, Maya. I know, as Maya noted, there's a number of folks from the Trek development team online. I don't know if they have anything they'd like to add.
Bill Gaddy or?
John Janowski and Jeff Wetzel, Grace Turn, number of people.
Maya, I believe Bill Gaddy's trying to speak. Are you able to unmute him or whoever the admin is of Zoom?
I think I'm unmuted.
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
We can hear you, Bill.
Okay, thanks. This is Bill Gaddy. Yeah, we're, as you mentioned, we're excited to engage with the community around development ideas with this site and engage with all our neighbors, including the folks at Rockwell Park, to over the next 3 to 6 months to come up with a plan that we feel is accretive to is viable financially and accretive to the neighborhood as a whole. So we hope we get the opportunity to do that. That's the end of my comments.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. And then I know Jeff Wetzel's on from the neighborhood group. Jeff, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jeff Wetzel. I'm the chairman of the Point Breeze North Development Corporation. Just here to say that everything that Maya stated represents the course that we took. We had community input, dialogue, and 3 board members participated on the steering committee to evaluate the developers. And so we are in support moving this forward to go into due diligence period with Trek Development.
Thanks, Jeff. Is Grace Turner on from the councilman's office? No? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. No, okay.
Okay.
Okay, with that, I'll open it up for board members for questions or comments they may have.
Mr. Chair, if I may, there's just
go
on
ahead.
the record, there's actually a typo in the director's report. So where it says commitment expiration date, your report and the report that was sent out to the public says March 11th, 2025. That should be 2026.
Okay.
Right here.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Lynn. Sure. All right. Now with that, I guess questions or comments from board members.
Thanks. So this is, could we just talk a little bit about the process that this parcel has gone through over the course of time and many years? Because this is, I think, the second time that we've been out to RFQ.
Yep.
Right. And every single time it goes out to RFQ, there is an inherent community process involved in even before we get to this point where we're voting on a potential project. Right. Can we just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so before the RFQ was released, there was one community meeting hosted by the Point Breeze North Development Corporation. The URA hosted 2 virtual and in-person pre-RFQ meetings, and then we had a virtual community meeting where the final developers who were up for consideration for exclusive negotiations presented their ideas in front of the community. We also had a review committee that was comprised of Councilman Mosley, representatives from the Point Breeze North Development Corporation, City Planning, URA internal experts, and then also myself.
Thank you. So, and this is the second time this parcel has gone through basically that process.
Yes.
So there have been many, many community meetings over many years to talk about various visions for developing this parcel, right?
Yeah.
I think it's probably safe to say that nobody at the URA or on the board or otherwise is anything but supportive of the idea of developing a new museum anywhere in the city of Pittsburgh. You know, and moving forward with exclusive negotiations after a robust process with one developer does not mean and should not be interpreted as meaning that, you know, conversations can't be had about this or any other parcel with, you know, any team of folks that is proposing to develop a new museum in the city. You know, but as one board member, I just want to say that, you know, it feels not appropriate for our process to, you know, to not move forward with the recommendations of the staff and of the committee and of the folks who worked very hard on this RFQ process, because we receive essentially 11th hour information about another idea. So I'm going to vote in support of moving forward, while also kind of holding up the idea that, like, this, you know, the idea of a, you know, of a new museum in Pittsburgh is a really exciting idea, and we should do everything we possibly can to help make that a reality.
Well said. Thank you, Director. Any other questions or comments from board members? For my part, maybe this is more to the Trek team and just building off of Director Williamson's comments. This is early days. I think related not just to what we heard in public comment here, but some of the written comment that the board received. Bill, can you just talk through some of the diligence process your group will go through? As Director Williamson noted, and Maya, the kind of continued public engagement as you refine the development plans, in particular balancing, a potential community amenity, as was noted here, as well as concerns around parking and access to public green space.
I'm unmuted now.
Oh,
Yeah,
thanks.
sure. I mean, our typical process. So the next most important turnstile is the next tax credit round that Maya had referred to. And although that hasn't been officially announced yet by PHFA, we're anticipating that in Q1 of 2026, first quarter 2026. So in relatively short order, I'd say in the next 60 to 90 days, we need to understand, the will of the URA and other prospective funders in terms of funding support for an application in the next round, and quickly make that determination if this is a 2026 application year. So that there's significant economic concerns that would have to be addressed quickly to determine if our idea or our presentation is viable. We proposed a two-phase deal that was a combination of affordable and market rate, and there was a prospective homeownership component as well that would involve further discussion with funders around that idea. So that would all have to occur rather quickly. And that can definitely happen before Q1 2026, but we would need to understand the level of governmental and community support for that idea. Additionally, we would engage with the resident group and neighborhood group that Jeff Wetzel spoke on behalf of. We're eager, and we look to them to host a meeting or series of meetings, for listening and interactive process where we present, in detail how we would approach it and collect feedback and react accordingly. Obviously, the idea of the museum is new to us. I hadn't heard that before today, and I don't understand what that means, but I'd look forward to hearing more about that. The parking needs, we had interacted with other partners at the Rockwell Park site. We're not aware of specific parking needs there, but as community developers, we take those needs seriously. So I think we need to understand that need and put our heads together about how to solve that more broadly in the neighborhood. Anything that puts pressure on traffic and parking in a neighborhood needs to be considered. So we look forward to having those discussions.
Thanks, Bill. Just to clarify, I know from our team that there was language in the RFQ specific to, there were some parking needs enumerated there. So you're talking about any needs that may be above and beyond what was enumerated in the RFQ?
Yes. I mean, we took, yes, I am. And also that was part of the reason for our phased approach, which was so as not to use up every inch of the site until we understood that better.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments from board members? Okay, with that then I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Our next item on the agenda is Manchester Chateau Esplanade, and I will turn it over to Chief Link.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, folks in the public here in person, also tuning in via Zoom. I'm Tom Link. I'm the Chief Development Officer here for the URA. So the Manchester Chateau Esplanade authorization. This is an authorization to approve final drawings, final evidence of financing, and authorization to execute a deed for the sale of Block 7E, Lot 30, and Block 7F, Lots 2, 10, 20, and 25 in the 21st Ward to Esplanade Partners LP or related entity for $1.5 million plus costs to the URA. To provide some background, as the board might recall, and for the public's awareness, in December 2021, the URA Board authorized Esplanade Partners LP's proposal for the Esplanade project. This authorization is now requested for the board to approve these final drawings and evidence of financing to execute Phase A of the development through the authorization to execute a deed. So just to be clear what this authorization does, with this board, the board's authorization, Pyatt, the developer, will take title to URA properties and complete necessary infrastructure and site preparation work to prepare the entire site for vertical development. I think it's important to be aware that we're talking about the URA's properties here for this board. The larger site is larger than that. So the URA sites are approximately 5 acres, excuse me. The larger sites north of 15 acres. Which of contiguous land that's not controlled by the URA. Upon completion of the site prep and infrastructure work, the developer would be required to return to this board, to the URA, with additional drawings, evidence of financing for subsequent vertical construction phases that would require additional approvals by this board as those vertical construction opportunities would come forward over the coming months and years. So the Phase A infrastructure and site prep work we're talking about today is really, again, site preparation and infrastructure for the site. So it includes, but not limited to, a variety of work related to site clearance, environmental remediation, utility work, and other public infrastructure and site preparation work necessary to allow for this vertical construction of the Esplanade development to occur. I just want to take a quick note on this. So this included in this work is necessary environmental remediation, which is part of pursuant to an Act 2 cleanup plan, which was approved by the state's Department of Environmental Protection to clean the site. And just kind of what is Act 2? This just to kind of clear for our board, for the public. So Act 2 is a 1995 state legislation, which is called the Land Recycling and Environmental Remediation Standards Act, commonly referred to as Act 2, which essentially promotes the recycling of brownfields and formerly used land for development. In simple terms, in layman's terms, it's a publicly regulated process that prescribes processes and procedures by the Commonwealth that redevelop sites that are on former brownfields, have remediation plans approved by the state's DEP and is compliantly completed to ensure that the new development does not cause harm to people and to the public. And that's really the process that's engaged in, and this is the work that would commence pursuant to this authorization would be within those terms of the Act 2 legislation. So to summarize the authorization again today is the next step to authorize the development team to take a deed of the URA's parcels related to the Esplanade development to undertake necessary site prep and infrastructure work as I just described. And again, once completed, the developer would come back to this board and to the public for additional approvals as vertical construction before vertical construction could take place on the individual development pads on URA land, just to be clear. There's 5 acres of URA land. There's 10 plus acres of non-URA land. So those developments on URA land would have to come back to this board. I'll stop there. Before I go on, I just want to say, I spoke, but Gordon is the project manager, Kate, ML, a lot of folks, Matt, have done a lot of work on this. So I just want to thank our internal team. The developers here, so Lucas Pyatt's in person, Molly Onifer's here, Jim Holcomb, and I believe folks might be online, including, I think, maybe folks from KU Resources, and they may offer any additional comment to what I said or anything else they'd like to add. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Link.
Yeah.
Lucas?
Good afternoon. Lucas Pyatt, CEO of Pyatt Companies. First of all, just a bit of gratitude for the leadership at the URA. Sushila, your leadership through this process, through this very public process. I think the Esplanade has become a model for how to do development right and become a blueprint for future development in our city. Tom, thank you for your diligence in this project and the entire URA team. 10 years ago, this was a concept that we came up with. I can't believe it's been 10 years. Very difficult. Development is difficult. Development like this is really, really difficult. So it takes a shared vision and it takes true public-private partnership in order to make these projects work. And without those public-private partnerships, I would not still be here today with a continued passion to deliver this project to the city, to the region, and changing for the positive our skyline and our riverfronts in the city of Pittsburgh. Again, like I mentioned, this has been a very, very transparent and public process. We have been to the table with many, many neighbors, businesses, and have held over, I would say, hundreds of meetings with folks in the community. We are committed to continuing that open process and working with our community partners and making sure that this is truly a project for all at the end of the day. Thanks to the state who invested in this project through RCAP grants, to the taxing bodies for approving our TRID, which will make the affordable housing, the infrastructure, and fill gaps in this project that would not allow us to build something that is truly world-class. It takes true leadership. Councilman Lavelle shepherded a very, very robust process through the community. So thank you for that as well, sir. We're here for any questions that there may be, but I appreciate your consideration for the vote today. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Tom, you mentioned that, Chief Link, you mentioned there may be folks from KU Resources on as well. I don't know if there's anything they'd like to add.
I'm happy to address any questions, but we've been involved in the site for about 10 years now. We've done a pretty thorough analysis of the site and worked with the DEP everywhere, right along the way. We're very comfortable that the cleanup plan results in a site that a development that is protective of human health and the environment. Matter of fact, it will improve human health and the environment once completed. So it's been a pretty comprehensive process, and we're pretty confident that we do not have any concerns going forward from an environmental perspective.
Thank you, Mark. Questions, comments from board members?
Quick comment. Quick comment. Only that, just to acknowledge that, one, we did receive a letter from Manchester neighbors expressing their concerns over the environmental impact of this site. And I've said it prior, so I just want to reiterate it. This has gone through an exhaustive process. I'm not an environmental specialist, but the environmental specialists have made this go through an exhaustive process and have cleared it at the state level. So I will follow their lead and trust that everything is in place that needs to move forward. In the letter, it says that none of this has been disclosed. That's not true. This is all public information. These are all public documents that have been filed, and we've been very clear about that the entire way. The letter says there has not been enough community meetings. I can document every single community meeting we've had on this over the years, and it's been, I forget exactly how many at this point, but in the teens. This is not new information. In my personal opinion, it's their version of a stall tactic. I don't believe we should give in to that. We've done everything above board and everything correctly, and I believe we should vote to move this forward today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Other questions or comments from board members? I know it's not part of what's before us today. In fact, we voted on it several months ago related to the TRID plan. But I think to the letter that the councilman just referenced, the concern specific to the item before us around the environmental remediation and the community meetings, as Councilman touched on, the discussion around kind of investments into the community. I know the TRID will be an important part of that. So Director Namani Stanger, if you could just remind folks kind of the way that the TRID works, what that process will look like, the way that, groups can propose projects both within the community and as Lucas mentioned, also infrastructure improvements in and around the site.
Yeah. Happy to address that. The way that the TRID is structured, and TRID is a value capture tool, much like TIF districts. And so what happens when a building goes vertical, when the building comes out of the ground, what we do is we model what future taxes a certain building will generate in terms of incremental value. And the taxing bodies, our partners, city, county, and school district, have agreed to give up 75% of incremental new taxes generated as a result of development on this site. What happens is each issuance undertaken at the Esplanade site would divert 25% of that increment to offsite needs. Those offsite needs include infrastructure improvements, so to encourage walkability, transportation, circulation, connectivity at this site and in the neighborhood would be funded. In addition, there would be offsite investment in affordable housing, and the way that we would facilitate the use of those funds is much like the use of the affordable housing funds captured through the TRID district in East Liberty, which is the URA would facilitate an application process for the use of those affordable housing funds based on projects that we're advancing within that district. Does that?
Yeah,
Okay,
just
okay, yep.
for clarity, I guess for the public, when we talk about issuances, like the timing of that, as it relates to the vertical, Chief Link mentioned that each vertical development, at least those on URA properties, would come back to us. So I think the timing of the vertical developments related to the issuances, that'll have funds available that you talked about, and when then there would actually be funds available to make these investments. If you can just add some further kind of detail or depth.
Sure. In order for a value capture district to work, there needs to be some taxable value. There needs to be something to divert. And so what we'll see is when PIAT returns to us, when they're ready for vertical development, we'll be able to calculate what the on and off-site investment would be, and the timing and such would coincide with their construction. Yep, thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, comments from board members? If there are none, then entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is a non-voting item, but presentation of draft guidelines for 3 Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund programs. I will turn it over to Julia McMahon.
The public and the board. My name is Julia McMahon, and I'm a senior project manager in the Development Services Unit. I'm here today to present draft guidelines for the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund. This is a non-voting item. The Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund is a community-driven fund that utilizes diverted future tax revenues from the development activities on the Lower Hill site and provides funding for investments in development projects and community needs throughout the entire Greater Hill District. On August 27, 2025, the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund Advisory Board voted to approve 3 sets of program guidelines. They are Children, Youth, and Education Initiatives, Development Program Initiatives, and Workforce Development Initiatives. And I'm going to briefly just go through each of the guidelines. Next slide, please. The objective of the Children, Youth, and Education Program is to support and increase the capacity of community-based organizations that serve children and youth living in the Greater Hill District through educational activities and experiences related to science, technology, engineering, mathematics, the arts, athletics, cultural awareness, and the improvement of educational outcomes. The program will award grants of up to $25,000 $240,000 have been budgeted for this program. Next slide, please. The object of the development program is to support programming, projects, and activities that further the improvements of land and structures within the Greater Hill District. The program aids to provide grant support for new construction and the rehabilitation of commercial, mixed-use, and housing developments, and intends to provide a form of last-in grant support. The program will award grants of up to $250,000. $930,000 have been budgeted for this program. Next slide. The objective of the Workforce Development Program is to support programming, projects, and activities that further the efforts of the Greater Hill District residents to access economic opportunity. The program aims to provide grant support for initiatives that prepare individuals for sustainable employment through training, education, and job creation efforts. The program will award grants of up to $30,000. $120,000 have been budgeted for this program. The draft guidelines are currently available on the URA's website on the Lower Hill page and the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment page, and are open for review and public comment until Monday, October 6, 2025. After the public comment period concludes, URA staff intends to seek authorization to approve the guidelines and the allocation amounts at the October URA board meeting and open related applications. And Kirk Holbrook is the project manager consultant for the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund, is here today, and we can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Julia. Kirk, anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Julia. Yes, Chairman, and good afternoon, URA Board. I would first like to say it's a big step to be able to formally introduce these guidelines to the URA Board. What we've been able to accomplish in my 4 months in this position is pretty remarkable. These guidelines were developed in careful collaboration with URA leadership and staff, the Community Advisory Board of the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund, which has just been phenomenal in their support and their willingness to roll up their sleeves and work alongside me to get these guidelines together, and also the careful consultation and conversation with dozens of residents, community stakeholders, and organizations. I think what these guidelines allow us to do is meet the wishes of the community by providing funds that will not only support projects, but will also support people. And it enables us to take what I believe is the most important step, the first step in getting funds out into the community. So I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have. And I look forward to seeing you guys in October, hopefully to get formal approval and release of these monies. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk. Thank you, Julia. Questions, comments from board members?
No questions. Quick comment. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Kirk, for getting us here. I will tell the board, Kirk presented this information at a community meeting last week, and the community was greatly grateful and really thankful and really looking forward to this moving forward. So I just want to thank you all for your work in getting us here.
Other comments or questions? Yeah, I know it's not a voting item, so we'll see it next month to take official action. But yeah, 4 months ago, Kirk, we were saying it was a great milestone to just bring you on. Yeah, thank you to you and Julia and your colleagues for all the work on this, and the community for your patience with getting to this point. And yeah, God willing, we'll be here next month to approve the guidelines and release the RFQs or RFPs, I guess whatever form we're going to take, for people to provide proposals in response to get the money out there. So thank you. Moving on in the agenda to housing, we have a few items here, all within the Central Business District. The first of which is a downtown conversion program and rental gap program for 120 Cecil Way. Brooke Gwynn is joining us for this.
Thank you. My name is Brooke Gwynn. I'm a housing lending analyst in residential lending. I'm before the board this afternoon to request authorization to enter into a Pittsburgh downtown conversion program loan agreement with BC Cecil LLC or a related entity in an amount of up to $3 million for the rehabilitation of 120 Cecil Place in the Central Business District, 2nd Ward, and the authorization to enter into a rental gap program loan agreement with BC Cecil LLC or a related entity in an amount of up to $2 million for the rehabilitation of 120 Cecil Place, as well as the final authorization to issue multifamily financing bonds for the 120 Cecil Way project in an amount of up to $39 million. 120 Cecil Way is an adaptive reuse and historic preservation project to convert a decommissioned steam plant located at 120 Cecil Place into 97 new units of affordable housing. The building is a unique feature along the Allegheny riverfront. The 97 units will include a mix of 7 studios, 12 one-bedroom units, 47 two-bedroom units, and 31 three-bedroom units. The studios and 1-bedrooms will be affordable at or below 80% of area median income, or AMI. The 2-bedroom units will be affordable between 20 and 80% of AMI, and all of the 3-bedroom units will be affordable at or below 50% of AMI. 12 units will be audio-visual accessible, 11 of which will be fully accessible, and all accessible units will be spread across all unit sizes. The developer, Beacon Communities, will be partnering with Pittsburgh Scholar House to connect their Wayfinders program participants with 49 of the affordable units. The Scholar House's Wayfinders program connects participants to stable, affordable housing and related services to help mitigate barriers to the completion of secondary education. They will also be occupying office space at 120 Cecil. Extensive updates will be required to convert an early 1900s steam plant into an energy-efficient residential building, and Beacon will be pursuing the silver certification of the National Green Building Standard for this project. This 4% LIHTC project's total development cost is just over $65 million and includes a mix of public and private financing, including a loan from the Pittsburgh Scholar House. The Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh will be providing 49 project-based vouchers in addition to gap financing. The initial authorization for the $39 million multifamily financing bonds was presented to the URA at its July board meeting. If approved, the $30 million PDCP loan will be fully funded with affordable housing bond proceeds, and the $2 million rental gap program loan will be sourced from a mix of affordable housing bond proceeds, CDBG, and home funding. Financial closing and the start of construction is expected for November of this year. Construction is anticipated to be completed in summer of 2028. Joining us virtually is Michael Pollitt from Beacon to speak on this exciting project.
Thank you, Brooke. Michael, are you there? He's not on. Okay. Guess he's not on.
Brian Sarma may also be joining if either of them are available.
No. Okay. No. Just you, Brooke.
That's all right. Answer any question.
Back up. We're back.
Any questions or comments for Brooke on this one? I know they're not on. I just want to, and there's another item that they have later on the agenda, but appreciate, Beacon and how they've really embraced the downtown conversion work. I know we have another developer who's done the same with our next item. But truly the creativity that they bring to this and their commitment that they're able to put to these projects, in partnership with our team here, Brooke, you and your colleagues, is really great. And of note, this project, and the other one that they have on the agenda, importantly, are additions above and beyond the effort that, we announced over a year ago. So excited to see this continue to move forward, not just to this project, but the effort more broadly. So thank you for that. If there are no other questions or comments, entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you. Oh, Brooke staying with us, actually. Our next item on the agenda is 933 Penn Ave, a UDAG program income fund loan. And Brooke Gwynn is here as well.
Thank you. I'm here again to request authorization to enter into an Urban Development Action Grant Program loan agreement with iPen Ventures LP or a related entity in amount of up to $1,600,000 for the rehabilitation of 933 Penn Avenue in the Central Business District's Second Ward. 933 Penn is the adaptive reuse project by developer Holit Properties and the borrower, iPen Ventures, an affiliate of Rugby Realty, to convert a downtown commercial building into 70 new residential units and 5,500 square feet of ground floor retail space. The rehabilitation of 933 Penn is included in Governor Shapiro's Downtown Pittsburgh Revitalization Plan. Holit Properties has experience with comparable adaptive reuse projects, and the principals of Rugby Realty have invested in downtown Pittsburgh for over 35 years and have owned 933 Penn since 2000. The redevelopment of the site is an example of their continued investment in Pittsburgh's Central Business District. The proposed project involves complete rehabilitation of the building's interior and exterior, including improvements of the facade. The unit mix includes 7 studios, 28 one-bedroom, 28 two-bedroom, and 7 three-bedroom apartments. 3 units will be wheelchair accessible, and all other units will meet visibility standards with blocking for future grab bar installation, allowing for easy conversion to an accessible unit when needed. To meet the eligibility requirements for the Downtown Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Program, 7 of the units will be affordable to households at or below 50% of AMI. The total development cost for the project is $37,276,250. In addition to the proposed URA loan, the capital stack includes a construction first position loan, owner cash equity, subordinate financing from the Strategic Investment Fund, a $2.5 million redevelopment assistance capital program award from the Commonwealth, a Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership facade grant, and Pennsylvania Enterprise Zone tax credits. Construction is expected to start in October of 2025 and last for an estimated 16 months. I'd like to introduce Aaron Stauber from Rugby Realty to share more on this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess I just wanted to speak generally about our feelings with regard to downtown Pittsburgh. As was mentioned, my career in Pittsburgh started in 1989. I was directly responsible for the redevelopment of the Gimbels building, which had sat vacant for 20 years. And you know, I actually did the redevelopment of that back in 1992 to 94 and put in, at that time, Burlington Coat Factory, Thrift Drug, Barnes Noble. And then I started focusing on the, what at the time was the red light district on Penn Avenue and Liberty. Most of you don't remember what I mean by that. But it was, not a place of family-friendly user place. So that was right at the time where the Cultural Trust was formed. At that time, it was really a vision. They reached out to private developers like myself. They had a beautiful vision plan. They didn't have any money, but I was dealing with Carol Brown at the time, and her idea is that it would be a not a public-private, it was a nonprofit-private sort of collaboration. So we kind of focused on building and streets that could we can acquire properties, get rid of the noxious uses. And so I ended up buying and redeveloping many of the properties that are now between 9th and 10th Street. And that included 914 Penn Avenue, 922 Penn Avenue. We fully redeveloped that with the historic preservation. And we put in at that time a charter school, the Urban Pathways. And then we bought and redeveloped 930 Penn Avenue and put that into 20 housing apartments. And then we put in retail on the ground floor. Now they have Bridges and Bourbon there. We recently put Barcelona Wine Bar on 9th We're doing on 817 Liberty Avenue. These were all empty buildings that had no purpose. We're doing the Well Market to finally get a grocery store in downtown. We think that would be helpful. We did 938 Penn Avenue, where Bakersfield is, and 817 Liberty, and a whole bunch of others. That's just in the cultural district. Besides about 6 million other square feet, we have the Coppers Building, Frick Building, and the Gulf Tower, and now we just bought the Oxford Center. Anyhow, so 933 Penn, as was mentioned, we bought it in 2000, and it was empty for many years. And we did a deal with Kaplan Education. We completely, at that time, did the entire interior over, and we did a 12-year lease with Kaplan. Unfortunately, they really went bust. So then they did pay us the money for the rent, and now the building is vacant again. And we came up with this idea that we think, you know, you guys are spending the money on that beautiful park, Arch Landing down the block. And it could really be redeveloped into a magnificent apartment complex. It's frustrating because in all the projects I just mentioned, we never came to the URA for any financial assistance. We were always able to do it just based upon the private money. But we're facing very difficult times now, and I think that's really the important part of the story. I mean, obviously, we hope the URA will approve this, but the reality is that our cost, we've studied this. We have 100% of our drawings done. We've bid this out to at least 6 different major general contractors in this area. And I develop in all these other cities. I live in Miami, and I have properties in New York, Connecticut, Atlanta, and many other cities. And the fact is that the cost of construction in Pittsburgh is equal or more today to do what we're doing than New York City or Washington, D.C. It's higher cost. It also takes a lot longer in terms of getting approvals. The lenders are much less likely to lend in this community. They feel that it's a higher risk, so therefore they charge more interest, and they're also providing less loan amounts. And finally, our rent that we can get successfully if we do market is a fraction of the rent being charged by all the other cities. So our costs are more or greater than all these other cities, and our rent is, and when I say a fraction, I'm talking about 1/3 or less of what you can get. So I can develop, or any developer can develop in any of these cities, and we really want to develop here and do these great things, but we're having a really, really, really hard time to make the numbers work. And, there's a lot of other things to do with our time. So we really want to get this project done. We think it's a critical project for downtown, and we really thank you for your support because we're kind of all in this together if it's going to happen. So thank you.
Thank you. Normally, I have to worry when I see you, John, so I don't know what you're about to say.
You're not alone, Kyle. John Kamen, counsel for rugby and IPEN, and I just wanted to briefly thank the URA and the board and its team for working hard with us. As Aaron said, we have a ton of challenges on this project. People think 70 units is a lot. You still have fixed cost and those types of things that whether it's 70 or 300. So it's really hard and it's a tight site and all these other items. So I just wanted to publicly thank the URA for everybody's support in trying to get this one across the finish line. So thank you.
Thank you all. Questions, comments from board members? I mentioned it in the last item, but it bears repeating, especially given the long list of projects you mentioned. Aaron, just want to thank you and your partners for the commitment to downtown Pittsburgh. To your point on the challenges that are there, and as we view them as opportunities before us to really reimagine what downtown can become. I think we acknowledge the need for the public to invest in this, but we're bullish on that, as I know you are, just by what your company has committed, for not just this project, but, a number of the ones that you mentioned historically and the ones that you've taken on since. So, really the health of not just the city, but the broader region, is at stake. And then I think we've certainly demonstrated that, from the standpoint of the city. And the redevelopment authority, and I know our director will speak more to it, that there's more that we need to do, and continue to raise capital to put to work, in partnership with projects like this. So, again, just thank you for, continuing to have the wherewithal to drive this project forward, knowing that it isn't easy. But if there's no other questions or comments, then I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Motion, do we have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for your investment.
Our next item on the agenda, is still in the Central Business District, Pittsburgh Downtown Conversion Program and Rental Gap Program loans for 901 and 903 Liberty Avenue. And Niklas Persson is joining us for this.
Thank you, Chairman. Afternoon, everyone. My name is Niklas Persson. I'm a lending analyst in the residential lending department, and I'm here in front of this board today requesting authorization for three things. Authorization to enter into a Pittsburgh Downtown Conversion Program loan agreement with BC Liberty Avenue LLC in an amount of up to $3 million for the rehabilitation of 901, 903 Liberty Avenue in the Central Business District 2nd Ward. An authorization as well to enter into a rental gap program loan agreement with the same entity in an amount of up to $2 million for the rehab of 901, 903 Liberty Avenue. And then also a final authorization to approve issuance of multifamily financing bonds for the 901, 903 Liberty Avenue development in an amount of up to $21 million. Next slide, please. So brief synopsis here is that Beacon Communities has come to the URA with a project that involves the adaptive reuse of 2 office buildings in downtown Pittsburgh and transforming them into 50 units of affordable rental housing. You'll see the unit and affordability mix presented here on the slide, which shows 5 units being set aside for tenants whose incomes are at or below 20% AMI, 25 units being set aside for that at 50% AMI, and the remaining 20 units being set aside at 80% AMI. The total development cost for this endeavor is roughly $37.6 million, which is not cheap. But when you think about it and think about the impressive feat of this development, and similarly with the 120 Cecil Way one, I mean, this is not only a rehab project, but it is an adaptive reuse. And it's also located in the Penn Liberty Historic District. So the costs add up, but Beacon, as a good developer, puts out all the stops. They have leveraged every source of financing they have to make this development work. And what that results in is Beacon applying for 4% low-income housing tax credits to PHFA, which is expected to generate roughly $16.5 million in equity. As mentioned previously, because this is located in a historic district, Beacon's also going to be applying for federal historic tax credits, which are expected to generate around $5.6 million. Other sources of financing include a loan from the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh, as well as a permanent loan from JP Morgan Chase. To fill their financial gap, Beacon has applied for a $2 million rental gap program loan, as well as a $3 million Pittsburgh Downtown Conversion Program loan to cover the hard and soft costs associated with these renovations. It's also worth mentioning that, again, because it's a 4% LIHTC deal, that Beacon has asked us to be the bond issuer, which is one of those authorizations. And should the board approve these authorizations for these loans, we'll make sure to have a restrictive covenant set on these properties to further secure their affordability for a period of at least 40 years. Construction is expected to begin at the end of December, with renovations complete by the summer of 2027. And that is it. Thank you all very much for listening. Second time's the charm. I would now like to introduce Michael Polite, Executive Vice President of Beacon Communities, to provide a few brief remarks and help in answering any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Niklas. Michael, are you with us now?
I am. Well,
Great.
thank you. And well, I didn't turn on my I'm actually on the phone. But thank you all for your consideration. As Nicholas described, the project is a difficult one, a very complex construction, adaptive reuse. And in fact, let's just say the complexity of it was revealed as we designed the building. Literally an incredible physics problem, but the upshot of it is, again, as was stated previously, we have really used all of the resources from the private side in terms of maximizing the amount of tax credit equity, whether it's the historic or the low-income housing tax credits. We'll also have a substantial amortizing first. We've also, beyond the numbers that were mentioned, reached out to Allegheny County Economic Development Department because the project will participate in the 500 and 500, so 5 units there, which will generate support from the county. So all of the resources, and essentially we are, but for today's actions, then there is THFA's final actions. We've 100% construction drawings in place. We have the National Park Services approval, so the historic part has been cleared, and that was a complex matter. So a mixed income deal, meaning we're able to benefit folks from 20% of the area median up to 80% of the median. All of those will generate tax credits, but the thing about it like this is that those 80% IM units, 1-bedroom units, can benefit folks who make up to $60,000 a year. So absolutely lots of people working downtown. And then the 25 apartments that are set aside for folks at 50% of AMI, again, that's about $37,000 a year. So this is really, I think of it as downtown workforce housing. To help the project along, the Housing Authority has already set aside 25 project-based vouchers. So we will be able to support folks who are in various levels of transition. And an important location right in the heart of the cultural district. So again, thank you for your consideration. I'm ready for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Nicholas. Questions, comments from board members?
I just want to thank the developer. So thank you, Michael, not just for your partnership with the county on participating in 500 and 500, but I think this with your other projects, the creative way that you're approaching the gaps that exist and how you're able to meet the needs of the people who need housing downtown, but also make the numbers work. So thank you for your commitment and partnership. And then I think I've been making similar comments towards the end of all of the board meetings, but thanking the URA team because every agenda has had a few downtown items specific to these residential conversions that are not easy projects, and you all continue to figure out ways to advance these and make these work. So just a thank you to the URA team.
Any other questions or comments? I would echo Director Conley's comments, and Michael, I said all these nice things about you on the earlier one. You weren't there, so that's your penalty for being late. So if there's no other questions or comments, entertain a motion to approve. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to the consent agenda, Director Namani Stanger has an update for us.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Board, for the 3 actions related to downtown conversions. I wanted to just take a moment, pause, and take a step back and look at the larger context of investment in downtown. So with today's approvals of funding for downtown residential projects and upon completion of their financial closings, we will reach a full commitment of our available Pittsburgh Downtown Conversion Program funding. And this is part of our larger downtown investment strategy. So this programmatic funding, designed to support office to residential conversions and create affordable housing options, was made possible through American Rescue Plan Act dollars and a historic affordable housing bond issuance in partnership with the city. We've also been able to stack additional URA support for downtown developers on top of the conversion program. Our in-house development and housing experts, led by Chief Wassler and Chief Link, have made significant strides in implementing our local strategic 10-year investment strategy for downtown development, including advancing projects supported by Governor Shapiro's $600 million revitalization plan announced last fall. I want to thank all of our team members at the URA who contributed to the pilot launch and implementation of the conversion program and our partners outside of the URA coming out of this pandemic and who have since been navigating the complex underwriting process for 5 projects totaling more than $13 million in conversion program funds. These projects are part of a larger slate of URA-supported downtown development projects, which you can see on the slide behind me and ahead of me. They total more than $36 million in committed investment, including today's board approvals. That's a significant. As a result of our success in deploying downtown conversion funds, we are now actively fundraising federal and private resources to recapitalize the program. We will be in Washington, D.C. next week as part of these efforts. As you all know, during our November 2024 board meeting, we introduced our intent to apply to the federal TIFIA credit program through the Department of Transportation to seed a downtown development fund. We're also serving as the public sponsor for Rugby Realty's RIF application to the DOT for the Gulf Tower project. Additionally, we prepared a capital stack budget request to the city's home and CDBG funds, and we're engaging with private sources to raise funds that will enable us to continue filling gaps in developer funding stacks. As you heard from Aaron Stauber, it is an ongoing challenge, and our goal is to secure additional funds by the end of the year that we can deploy for future emerging conversion projects and create a more vibrant neighborhood-centric downtown core. I want to remind you and others listening of our tools for developers that are currently accepting applications. The Rental Gap Program and the County and School District 10-year Downtown LRTA Program, which has an open 3-year application window until January 1st, 2027, and the city's Downtown LRTA Program. Our team remains engaged with developers and elected officials to advance projects and secure more funding, and we'll keep you updated on all of the status of the slate of active downtown development projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any questions or comments from board members? There's no action for us.
Just thank you for that detailed update. That was extremely helpful. And also, this is really impressive. Like, this is represents a lot of work and a lot of money going into our economy and into downtown. And at the same time, there remain millions of square feet of commercial office space in some very, very large buildings whose future is very much in jeopardy, and that puts the future of the downtown economy in jeopardy. So the continuation of this work is extremely important. So thanks to the URA staff and leadership for all that you're doing on this front.
Well said, Director. I also want to applaud the staff for the efforts to fundraise for this, as opposed to only looking at our existing resources, because of the importance to continue to invest in our neighborhoods at the same time while, we're investing in, as I said earlier, the repositioning of downtown because of its importance for the ongoing, health of the city and the region more broadly. So really applaud the efforts and creativity that the staff has undertaken, not just for these important investments we've made, but in order to continue them going forward for all the reasons that Director Williamson said. So, thank you. Moving into the consent agenda, there's quite a few items here, so I will let Madeline go through the slides so that folks have a chance to at least see them on there before we entertain any motion. Are there any questions, board members, or comments? There are none. Then I'll entertain a motion to approve in its entirety. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries. And then lastly, our disclosures. Public. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.